put your head in the game, 'cause your life is no mistake. Your hard work is gonna pay. Living our life by design, yeah.
We have been for quite some time focusing on choosing your perception. I don't think you can actually live life without this component in the human experience. Because how you see things is how you live. Most of us don't even take that into consideration. We don't wake up and say, I wonder how I'm going to think today. How am I going to see things today? How am I going to perceive things today? We don't do that. We get up and we see life as we see life. We don't take into consideration that our family, our friends, our environment, the food we eat impacts how we see things. Now, the interesting thing with this is we can correct it. We can actually change the way we see life. I'm telling you, as old as I am still adjusting. And here's what I've found. You can adjust, but you better take your time. It doesn't always happen overnight. You have to take baby steps, because what has been hardened and fast in your life can sometimes hurt if you try to completely rip it off. Baby steps. Today we're going to focus on the power of perception. Perception is the way we interpret what we experience. Now, two people can have the same experience, go through the same things, same situation, but leave completely different conclusions. Many people quietly struggle in church, and I know this for a fact. They struggle in church because they feel unseen. They feel judged, misunderstood, rejected, and so many more. This teaching is not about blaming others. It is about choosing the lens, there we go, through which we see ourselves and our future. Listen to me very carefully. You've got to choose your future. I have a question for you this morning. Do you know what you look like in 5 years? Do you know what you are doing in 5 years? Do you know what you look like in 10 years? Do you even know what you're doing next week? What do you look like? Or what do you want to look like? Choosing your perception, thinking right, listen to me carefully, is having an image of yourself in the future. One of the more potent ways to do this is by choosing your words and carefully observing them. Listen to me very carefully now. You have to choose the words you speak if you are intending and being intentional about choosing the way you think. Listen to me very carefully. Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world. Now that sounds good, but I'm going to tell you right now, that ain't easy. Sometimes you become so much like the world, you don't know when you started to blend. You don't even know when the shift took place, because it became and felt so natural to follow friends, to talk like them, to walk like them, to go to the places they go, to like the things that they like. You didn't even recognize the shift. And if you are an individual that lacks identity, you better be careful with the people you hang out with, because before you know it, you're going to look like them, talk like them, and smell like them, because you lack true identity. Wearing the same clothes, liking the same things. But it's not you, it's only you because you've connected with people who appear to be stronger than you in the direction that they're going. You need to be very careful with the people you are around, because when you are trying to choose the way you think, they can impact that, because you want to fit in, you want them to like you, you want them to choose you, you want to be included. I can give a rip. You don't have to choose me. I choose me. I have been, I haven't talked the street, but I ran the call in today, so I got to be careful. I have never been the kind of individual that will fall in line with what other people want, unless it's the direction I am going. You only hang with people that are going in the direction you want to go. I can remember my son coming to me one day and asking me, "Daddy, I want to go out with some friends." I said, "Oh, no problem. I have no problem with you going out. I have no problem with you hanging out with your friends. But here's what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to choose your friends." He said, "Daddy, how are you going to do that?" I said, "I'm going to teach you right now." I said, "Here's what I want you to do. Go to your friends, tell them, listen, y'all will go to the club, y'all will go downtown, y'all will do this. Fine, I'm going to do that with you. But I ask you, all of you, everybody on Sunday, come go to church with me." I said, "Now ask them that." I said, "Now, I don't have a problem with you going hanging out with them. But ask them to come hang out with you once." The next day, my son came to me and he said, "Daddy, these people ain't my friends." I said, "Well, I don't." Because going in the direction that is most desired to you will always be the same for those who love you and believe that you all deserve respect and support. One of the things that I have learned over the years is you have to have a strong sense of self. Now, that strong sense of self doesn't come from self, it comes from your creator. And in order to have that, now listen to me very carefully. I'm not talking about strong sense of self based upon the friends you with, the community you in, your mama or your daddy. I'm talking about a deep sense of self that is instilled in you from your creator. How does that happen? It happens through prayer, it happens through worship, and it happens through fasting. Because I'm going to tell you, that's exactly what I did. I spent an absorbent amount of time in worship, to the point where if I'm going to sleep, I need to have that stuff on repeat. I want worship while I sleep in. Sheba. And I found out quickly that when you begin to worship, your brain takes on a new shape. Somebody say hallelujah. Your brain begins to form differently from the way it was before, because as you begin to worship, your mind develops into the, watch this now, the space it needs to be to grow. I started fasting. Oh, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with fasting because I could recognize almost immediately as I fasted that the things that governed me no longer had control over me. I felt free, I felt lighter, and I felt sincere. It is easier to feel conviction when you fast. I studied. Oh man, now that's another story, because I love to study. And I don't just study to say I'm reading. I am immersed in the history. I am transported back in history. I don't just want to study the text to see what it means and how it's translated. I want to go back to the actual time, and I want to watch these brothers talk, and I want to understand the culture so that when I speak about it, I'm not speaking as someone who is dull in understanding. Now, you're talking about changing your perception. You've got to immerse yourself in the source of life. And who's that? That's God. The source of life is God. You want to know why you still struggle? You want to know why you are still where you are? You want to know why things are not working out for you the way they should? Because you have not made God your number one. Easy. And I don't want to hear that rubbish about, well, the pastor this and the church this and the church that. That's a lame excuse. You could bypass all of them and go straight to the Father through Jesus. We got YouTube now. You go on YouTube and find a preacher, Sheba. You can study, but you better be careful, because not everybody on that thing know what they're talking about. Watch me carefully. Romans 12:2 declares that you ought not to be conformed to the patterns. This word patterns refers to systems or the way things are done. So the way things are done, the text is saying don't do it that way. Now that's going to be difficult because everybody in your family, everybody in your neighborhood, all the friends you went to school with, all of them doing that. Don't follow the pattern. Well, listen to me very carefully. There is no strength in you to reject this pattern if you don't understand that there is another pattern. If you don't know that there is another way, how could you change the way you're going? The problem is most people are ignorant of the fact that there is another way, another pattern. I am the way, the truth. Good night. Well, if you don't know, how can you change it? Preacher, I want to change the pattern, but I don't know what to do. Well, you don't know what to do because you don't know who the pattern is. The pattern is Jesus. The text says you ought to be transformed through prayer. No. Transformed through fasting. No. Transform through eating crackers and drinking wine. No. Transformed by having people lay hands on you. No. Transformed by speaking in tongues. No. I know you only want to hear that, but I can tell you the truth. Transformed by renewing your mind. Now, ain't that a kick in the head? So the mind is the key or the linchpin by which life shifts. Oh, I like that. The mind is the linchpin by which everything in your world changes. And listen to me very carefully. I had a friend in Bible college, redhead, she white girl, beautiful girl, right? came to Bible college. And when she met me, she said, Brother Dwight, please, I need you to mentor me. I need you to help me. I need you to. And I said, no problem, Hannah. I hope she ain't watching because I can tell her. I said, no problem, Hannah. I said, meet me every morning for prayer. I said, when I go to the prayer lines, I want you to be with me. When I do this, she said, no problem. 2 days later, I couldn't see Hannah. And I remember going to church. This is a big church, over 10,000 people. And I remember Hannah sitting over on the 10,000 row. 3 months later, Hannah came knocking on my door. I was the dorm director. She walked inside and she said, Brother Grant, I need to talk to you. I said, come in, sit down. She said, listen, after I realized how serious you were, I thought to myself, this is too much. Changing your mind requires too much. Here's what I got from that. This is a quote that God gave me when she said that. When you have done nothing all your life, doing something will always seem like too much. And she came to apologize. She said, listen, I wanted it so bad, but when I looked at what it was required to do it, I was afraid. I was intimidated. I said, I can't do this. He's too far above me. He's not going to think good of me. He's this, he's that. She became transparent in a communication. I said, well, Hannah, I said, not a problem. I understand. I said, I didn't just get here overnight. And we spent the rest of our time together until graduation. And she's doing well today. Changing the mind requires changing environment. Because most often you will not have the strength to do it alone unless there is divine intervention. And divine intervention is possible, but not all the time. So it is required that you must connect with persons whose mind will challenge yours. Here's what scripture says: iron sharpeneth iron. Now that's only if your mind is not rubber. If your mind is rubber, iron ain't gonna sharpen, it can cut it in half. So in order to change your mind, to begin the gradual shift and move to thinking right, you have to change your environment and those you connect with. I often say, you cannot expect change by remaining the same. Transformation begins in the mind before it appears in life. You can't expect good things to happen to you if you aren't thinking it. You will only attract what you are. Sheba. I said you will only attract what you are. Listen to me. Some people refer to me as anal. I wonder if you could say that on. But I am only anal to their laziness. And I am nowhere near where I actually should be. Nowhere near. Obviously, there is a level of balance and grace that must take place. But when you understand the timeline you are on, you don't have time to play around. And sometimes the very presence, I have to laugh because my spiritual parents, when they come into town, I have to brace myself. I literally have to brace myself. Because guess what? I actually have to be around them. It is not a question. They require it the whole time that they're here. And these are I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story to show you how serious this life really is. You're talking about transforming the mind. We were invited, well, not invited, we went to go spend time with them at their home in Maryland. And they said, okay, we have a schedule, and here's the schedule. We're going to go by helicopter to the plane, and to the plane, we're going to Atlanta, and da-da-da. I mean, all kinds of things. And then when we come back, we're going to go to that. I mean, they're giving us a list of stuff that they got to do. So we went to Atlanta, we flew to Atlanta, they did what they had to do, came back, we flew back to the house, and then that night, or rather the next morning, we got into this SUV, and we're sitting at the very back, and there's the husband and wife, they're sitting in the middle, and the drivers are in the front, and they're going. And we left the house at 6 a.m. in the morning. We had so many meetings that day. We're just following behind them now. Just following behind them. Whatever they need. Water, coffee, just there, right? We returned home at 1 a.m. Listen to me carefully. While we are driving, me and my wife are knocked out cold, sleeping, snoring. We went over a bump and I woke up. When I woke up, they were in front of us discussing tomorrow's plans. And it hit me hard. Dwight, you know you're not ready. You want the millions? You want the company? You want staff? Dwight, you want planes? You want wealth? God said to me, you are nowhere near what you say you want. Can I say that again? You are nowhere near what you say you want. Because when you get the millions, your laziness will consume it. Okay, let that sink in. Therefore, God will not give you millions because you will be consumed by it. And it will destroy you. So in order to protect you, he keeps the millions from you and makes sure that you get $5 every day. Transforming the mind requires that you connect with individuals that are already on that road. When we were flying with them in their private jet, he looked at me and he said, I want you to look down on the ground. And I looked out of the plane and he said, all of this is where we're going to build Faith City. And then he looked up at me and he says, now, I have you with me because I'm telling you what you're getting ready to do. Now, I'm going to be real honest with you. I can be real honest. Can I be honest? Spiritus Sanctus of Christus. Can I be honest? Nothing he was saying to me was registered. I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it. What this man talking about? What this man? But it's been over 20 years. I get it now. And I'm not letting it go. For you to be someone else, you have to think like someone else. For you to be someone else, you have to think like someone else. But if you don't know what that someone else thinks like, you cannot be someone else. You see how this works? You can't tell people, change your mind. Change your mind to who? Be transformed. But transformed to what? There is no reference. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just following the pattern of what I see people do. People are hustlers. So I'm hustling. You're not a hustler. What kind of garbage is that? You're a king or queen. Everything, listen, let me help you, and then I can sign off. Everything you require to be what God has called you to be is waiting for you to attract it. The Bible declares that creation is waiting and groaning for the sons of man to come into the fullness of who they really are. What are they really saying? Everything you desire and everything you long for is an indication you're supposed to have it. Everything you long for, everything you desire is an indication that you're actually supposed to have it. The problem is you don't understand that having the desire does not equal being the person. So in order to be the person, to fit get the desire, you have to change your mind. But you have to find out what mind to change it to. So I'm going to give it to you. Can I do that? Very interesting. Change it to a king. Change it to a queen. So what's your assignment? Research. How do kings think? How do queens think? Let me make it easier. Study millionaires. Get books, study them. Study their habits, and you will begin to recognize their thinking patterns. Listen, we're going to be sharing more of the power of perception in our next installment, and I'm telling you, you need to stay locked in. Go on our page and sign up, become a partner with us as we endeavor to fulfill God's mandate on our lives and ministry. Go ahead, like, share, and follow. Press that notification bell. You always want to know when we're coming on. You don't want to miss these principles. Life-changing, mind rearranging. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Let me tell you, we're gonna make it. We're not taking no chances. We're living our life